In today's video, I'm going to be talking to a special guest. His name is Sergey Karyaev. He's a software engineer and PhD from Berkeley. And in this video, he will show us how professional engineers are using coding agents.
So I can launch Claude Code, AMP, I can launch Gemini, Codex, OpenCode.
And improving results by running multiple agents and models in parallel instead of one at a time.
That's why we switched our default model to GPT 5.4 because it just seems to be like both faster and, by the way, cheaper and better than the Claude Code models right now.
He's also going to show us how he uses his app Superconductor to have a more autonomous engineering process.
The future is software that builds itself, basically.
And how you can use it to do it too. So let's get started. Hi, Sergey. First of all, welcome to my YouTube channel, and thank you for joining me today. I'm very happy to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
I first came across Superconductor because my co-founder Edmar told me about it, and then I saw your comment in one of my tweets, and then here we are. What really caught my attention when I was just looking into Superconductor is that you're building this in Volition, so it's your product studio, right?
Yes.
So can you tell us a bit about like your product studio and your story? Like, how did you get from Russia, right?
Yeah,
all the way
born
to
in
the
Russia.
US, and then you created a company, sold your company, created a product studio. Can you tell me a bit about your story?
Yes, would be happy to. Yeah, I'm from Russia originally, and then my parents moved with me to America when I was 11 years old. So mostly I grew up in middle school, high school, college, and grad school in America. I was in Seattle originally. Then for grad school, I went to Berkeley here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And coming out of grad school, I guess what I was doing in grad school is research in computer vision, which is kind of a subfield of AI and computer science. But I always wanted to do a startup. And so coming out of grad school back in 2014, I was looking for what kind of startup to do. And we actually had a side project become more and more popular that we built as teaching assistants. So we were as part of grad school, you have to teach classes. And so we were helping teach this introduction to artificial intelligence class. And we had to grade hundreds of exams on paper. And so we had the idea to scan the paper in and then grade the digital versions using a web application that we built. And as soon as other instructors saw that application, they wanted to use it. Then people at Stanford and other universities wanted to use it. Long story short, we started a startup called Gradescope, which was helping professors grade exams and then homework and programming projects. But we got acquired about 4 years after starting the startup. We got acquired by a larger education technology company called Turnitin. We worked at Turnitin for a while, and then the founding team of Gradescope, we kind of wanted to do another startup. So we left Turnitin and we started a new company called Volition. And that is set up to be a product studio. So we basically want to build multiple AI-powered products over time. And if it makes sense to spin it out as its own startup, we can do that. But if it makes sense to just keep a product in-house, then we can also do that. And about a year ago, and we've been building software together with like the same crew for like over a decade now, right? And in just the last year, the way that we build software has totally changed because of Claude Code and Codex and other coding agents. And so when we noticed in our own behavior, I guess, of like how we do software development, we saw that it changed, and we kind of saw the future a little bit. And the future is not a developer working at their own machine in their own code editor. The future is software that builds itself, basically. And that can come, ideas for what to build can come from bug reports. They can come from customer emails or tweets. They can come from meetings like we're having right now. But basically, once you describe an idea, or some kind of problem with your existing software, coding agents should just automatically launch and start implementing the fix or the feature, or just some kind of refactoring that makes things better. And the developer should not have to write code manually. They should only review the code that's already well written, well tested, and just kind of slots in nicely into the existing software. So we started building that, and we called it Superconductor.
Very cool. I'm laughing as you talk about it because that's exactly what my co-founder tells me every day. He's like, Dad, we need to build something that's like fully autonomous.
Oh, yeah.
And I realize this is the exact direction you're going to. And I have so many questions, but can I let me start from something I have in my mind right now. So
Sure.
You've been working with AI for a long time, and you're literally dedicating 100% of your time right now to just help people build software with AI.
Yes.
Can you I'm curious to know what is your workflow to build software with AI today? And can you walk us through your mental process and just your workflow, how you write your specs and everything?
Well, I can show you, the way we build software now is with Superconductor. So I'd love to just show you a demo of how we do that.
That's even better.
Okay. So let me share my screen. So Superconductor, the long-term vision, right, is basically autonomous software organization. But the shorter-term, immediately useful product is what I'm going to be showing you. And we're building towards that vision, but it's already super useful to us, and it's how we build software now. And the key principles are, I would say, multiplayer. So that means our whole team is in the same project. We can see each other's coding agent conversations. We're working in the same space, basically. Frictionless, meaning that it's really easy to start a task, right? I don't have to git checkout. I don't have to open a terminal or an editor. I just describe what I want, and it just starts happening. And then when it's done, when the agent is done, it's frictionless for me to see the preview, to see what they did without checking anything out, without doing any kind of action. It's like when the agent pings me, I can already see the app as they changed it. And I can test that they...
Would it be correct to position Superconductor as quote unquote a Jira for coding agents? So basically it organizes the work and then assigns the work to multiple agents?
Maybe a little bit, yes. I think I'll just show the demo. But just to close the loop on, so we want to be multiplayer, frictionless, and then also mobile. So I think that's a key component of kind of the next generation of software development is the agents work 24/7, right? They don't have to sleep. They don't have to eat, right? They're always working. And so that means, a human sitting at a computer for only 8 hours a day is a bottleneck, right? Because the work can be happening after they go home or as they're walking their dog or whatever. And a lot of the work is just an agent saying hey, does this look good? Or what, they ask you a simple question. You could easily answer it on your phone. And so we think the development of the future kind of happens. A lot of it is actually on the go on the mobile phone. So here is how things look once you log in. You have a workspace. So we have our Volition workspace, and the Volition workspace has different members, right?
Okay.
And we have different projects. So we have the Superconductor project. We're using Superconductor to build Superconductor. But we also have this Stellar project, which I'm going to be showing you. And Stellar is another product of Volition, which is basically an intelligent to-do app. And so imagine if each one of your to-dos had an agent inside of it trying to do it. So it's kind of like a to-do list that completes itself.
I love the concept of it. Yeah, this is really, really cool. Is it
Yes.
is it launched already? Can I test it out?
You can sign up and you can connect your email and calendar and you can just start using it.
Stellar.app.
Stellar.app, that's right. And all your listeners as well, or viewers, can also sign up for it.
I'll drop the link in the video description, by the way.
And you guys are lucky because it's free for now. So,
I love it.
But so this is the app that we're going to be working on in this demo. Okay, so this is the Stellar app. So here I have Stellar set up in Superconductor, and I have I'm able to create a new ticket, and I already have some tickets created.
Can I just interrupt for a little second, because I always try to like wrap what you're saying for my audience. So basically, you connected Stellar repo from GitHub,
Yes.
and then this is like GitHub issues.
This is a ticket that it's like a GitHub issue, yeah, but it's a ticket I'm creating on Superconductor, but it's similar to a GitHub issue. So let's just create a ticket, right? So it's like, I have my Stellar app. It looks like this, like there's a to-do list. There's a little input field here, like what would you like to do or no? And then there's this input field, which is add a task. I want both of those input fields. I want to be able to speak to it. I want to be able to click a little microphone, speak to it, and then enter things in that way, right? So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, let's implement voice input on every text input field. The OmniChat input, task creation input, etc. I want there to be a little microphone button that when pressed starts recording, and then sends the recording when I press stop to Gemini Flash. So it's up to you what level of detail to give, right? So I could leave it here. I just say implement voice input on every text field. And I can just let the agents kind of figure out how to do it, right? I could do that, and maybe I'll do it this way. So let me just do it. Yeah, it's like I'm not telling the agents how to do it. I'm just going to say, I want voice input. You guys figure out how to do it, right?
Okay.
And so what I can do on Superconductor is I can launch different agents, different coding agents. So I can launch Claude Code. I can select the model I want on Claude Code. So I'll select the best model right now, Opus 4.6. AMP is another coding agent that's pretty good. I can launch Gemini. I can launch Codex. So we actually like GPT 5.4 a lot. Recently came out, and it's pretty good. And I can launch OpenCode, which is interesting because it has some free models, like Big Pickle, and it has some open source models from China, like GLM5 and Kimi K2.5. And so I've selected some models. I think I selected 5 models total, and I'm just going to launch them on this ticket, implement voice input. By the way, if I want, I can attach images, PDFs, Markdown files, docx files, whatever I want. But for this one, I don't really need it. So when I launch the ticket, it automatically spins up 5, because I launched 5 agents. So for each agent, it spins up its own development environment that runs in the cloud, right?
Okay.
So I can be working on my iPad. I can be working even on my phone. I don't need a computer to be using Superconductor.
You don't need to install dependencies. You don't need to do any of that. It's just like a sandbox that runs on itself.
It's a sandbox that has our development environment, set up, but on my local machine, I don't need anything. Okay, so we launched those agents, and each one is running in a separate run loop instance, and we can watch it work, right? So so when I land on this page, I see 3 panels. I see chat on the left, and right now the agent's working, so you can see what it's doing. There's no real reason to chat with it yet. It hasn't sent us a message yet. The middle pane is the live preview. So this is the Stellar app running on that container, and when the agent makes changes to it, it's immediately reflected here, right?
Got it.
And then here, when the agent finishes their work, they will probably make some code changes. Those code changes will show up here. I'm going to go ahead, and it's going to take like 5 to 10 minutes for these guys to finish. So I'm going to go to another ticket. It's the same functionality. I created it just before we started the call here. And so all 4 agents here have already finished. So one cool thing about Superconductor is that the agent is able to use the app, right? Because the app is running on the agent's machine, basically. The agent can use the app using something we called Playwright MCP. And it's able to actually log into the app, click around, type things, and take screenshots. So it's actually this agent,
Like self-validating.
yeah, it implemented the changes, and then it validated that it did it correctly, and it took screenshots for me to look at. So the reason that's useful is because I can actually, multiple agents did that. I can actually expand all the screenshots here, and I can just kind of see like, okay, I see the microphone icon here, I see the microphone icon here, I see the microphone icon here. So these are all good contenders. But let's say on one of them, I actually didn't see a microphone icon. Well, that means they didn't really do what I asked them to, right? So then there's no reason to even look at that agent.
And just to make a small note here for those of you watching, I mean we're trying to show something that is visual, so like there's a mic there, but this could happen to things that are not really visual. So in this case, it would be evaluating the diff, and then if like the diff is not showing like what we want it to do, then we just like disregard it and like not use it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, like the screenshots are kind of a nice to have, but I'll probably still click into each agent, and I will take a brief look at the, here's my workflow, right? So it's like, for this kind of change, the thing has got to work, right? When I press this microphone button, it should actually record what I said. It should actually transcribe it. So let's go ahead and test it. I think it's not going to work in the iframe with like the microphone permissions. So what I'll do is I'll pop it out into its own tab. So now this is stellar.app, but running on the agent's environment. And I see now I have this little microphone. So I'm going to press it. It requests my permissions here. So I'll say, is this working? Let's give it a test. And it works.
It's working.
Isn't that incredible?
It's great. Which model produced this result?
Yeah, so we're looking at AMP right now.
Okay.
Yeah, ampcode.com, I believe. It's good.
They're getting popular in Brazil. Like they're not as popular as Claude and OpenAI models, but they're getting popular here.
So let's say I want to look at another one. So I can just click next, and now I'm on the Claude Code.
I love it, by the way. It's really, like, I love the science of it. Like you need to, like, maybe Claude is better for this specific task. I wonder, for instance, for design, Gemini is doing a pretty good job. But then, like, maybe for this specific task, maybe like a Chinese model is better than like the flagship ones from the US or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's just quickly test this one. Let's see if this one works. Testing. So this one doesn't seem to actually be working, right? So like the button's there, but it didn't actually transcribe it.
And
so something is going wrong.
4.6.
So what I could do is I could say like, hey, the voice did not actually get transcribed. And I can send that message to Claude Code. It'll probably try to figure it out. But, I have one that's working. So I'll probably just keep working with this one because it's pretty good. So the next step is I confirm that it works. Then I'll look at the code. And so one thing that's interesting about us is we're not full-on vibe coders. We still look at the code, right? So we're we are responsible. Let's say, Deborah, if you sign up for Superconductor, we're gonna keep your code safe, right? And with just shipping stuff that we don't read, we can't be confident that there's not some kind of security vulnerability or some kind of problem, right? Where like your code might get exposed. So we take it very seriously. We're gonna read every line that the agent wrote. But there's all these components, it's like, where do I even start reading the code? Is this the best order to read the code in, this alphabetical order? Probably not. So we built this feature called Guided Review, which basically has the agent take you on a tour of what they did. So they're saying like, hey, okay, I added this new JavaScript controller, I added the new Rails controller, and I wired it all up.
So,
And
so
then
is it the right way to look at it like a TLDR like for your like all your diffs or
it's a TLDR, but it's also a Tor, right? So it's imagine like sitting next to a developer and they're trying to explain to you how this like change that they implemented works. So they're not going to show you all the files at once. They're going to be like, well, first let's look at this file. And in this file, what happens is, we're going to send the request to the Gemini model, right? And
sorry to interrupt, like promise you're not going to forget what you're talking about, but just something that came to my mind. I originally posted about like comprehension depth, which is something that is really common when you get AI to write your code and you don't like take the time to understand what AI is doing.
Exactly.
How do you see like that being used to prevent this other thing, comprehension depth, to happening? Like, do you think people will like how important do you think it is to review code, just like for my non-technical audience? And two, do you think people will still need to review code maybe like 2 years from now, or do you believe AI is going to get to a point where code review is going to be like not necessary anymore?
Well, for your non-technical audience, there's no real reason to review code because they're not going to understand it, right? So I think for the non-technical people, you don't have a choice. Like, you just have to vibe code 100% and then not look at the code. And that can work out. I think what will happen is the app will get to some point of complexity where it's going to be very difficult to add the next feature. I think
I agree.
That's the debt, really, is that you're taking on. You can grow up to a certain point, but then the agent, like, potentially you yourself will have trouble describing what you actually want in a way that makes sense with the rest of the app that has been built. But even if you're able to explain it, the agent will get confused and mess something else up as they add this new feature. And so that's why, for those who can read the code, so the technical part of the audience, I think should be reading the code and providing feedback to the agent about how things should be structured. Because, like you said, today we still have to review the code. Now in 2 years, or even in a year, I'm honestly not sure. I think we'll see. But, all we know is like today we're not comfortable shipping code that we haven't signed off on.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't sleep at night. By the way, my co-founder, he's an engineer, so he reviews every single PR. And that's how I managed to sleep at night, knowing that my code is not a mess.
Right.
By the way, like, so you're gonna keep going, but just like wrapping everything you just told me until now. So your workflow pretty much is you launch Superconductor, you write like a ticket, similar to what you just did.
We write a ticket that's either pretty vague or a little bit more detailed. So like,
okay.
I launched the pretty vague one.
After this ticket, like, do you expand this ticket into a more like comprehensive spec, or like do you literally run this ticket against the code base?
This is what I ran. And look, this was enough to do it, right? AMP did it
working. Yeah.
Yeah, AMP did it exactly the way I wanted in one shot. So that's.
And what I thought was funny is that Opus 4.6, which arguably is the best coding model, got it wrong, and then AMP, a highly underestimated model, got it right. Like it's really crazy, right?
GPT 5.4 we can check out, and then OpenCode GLM5. So that's an open source model. I checked this one before the call, and it also didn't work. And so I told it, this didn't work. We can check GPT 5.4, and just for interest, let's see if it works. But yeah, it's interesting. And over time, I guess part of the thesis we have is that potentially, depending on your code base, different models are better at it than others. So maybe for your code base, Opus 4.6 is really the best model. But for our code base, maybe GPT 5.4 is the better model, or vice versa.
Let's see if it's
working.
So
yeah, let's see if this one's working. This is GPT 5.4. Oh, so it has this nice little thing. So I kind of like that. The other ones did not have it, if you remember.
Like the loading, yeah.
Yeah, the loading thing. So I might go back to AMP and tell it, like, okay, while it's transcribing, let's add this loading thing. But you know what? I don't think it's working. So I'm going to say transcription does not work, spins forever.
It's so interesting. I mean, I love the science of it, you know?
Yeah.
I think like we're definitely biased by all like the evals and all the reports that are published, and we tend to believe that they are absolutely true. But to your point, like sometimes it might not be the best for your code base specifically, right?
Yeah, and and I think we mentioned earlier, we do have this benchmark feature, so I'll show you that
I was
pretty
going to
soon.
ask you that.
Yes. But briefly more about the guided review. So the guided review is kind of TLDR, but then also it walks you through the code. So it says like, let's start by looking at this JavaScript controller. And as I read the code, the agent leaves little comments and it says like, hey, this is a good double check. And if it sees a problem, it might also highlight a problem. It's like, you know, this, so this is a little bit of a problem. I think that's highlighted.
By the way, who writes the comments? So like, is it the same model that you chose? So in this case, was it like AMP model, or it's like a different one without like the bias and the context of it?
Yeah, great question. It's always right now a Claude Code Opus model, and what it gets is just the conversation and the code changes. So it doesn't see like the internal, thoughts or whatever of the other model. It just sees the result.
Okay, so it's like a completely unbiased review, like pre-review for you to review it then,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Got it.
Exactly. Now, by the way, if I spot something that I want to change, I can add a comment myself, and I can say, let's call this .begin instead of .start. And as I add that comment, it kind of pre-populates my chat. I can leave another comment.
I love the UX.
Yeah, it's like, good stuff. I'll just, I'll let the agent know it's doing good. And then I'll send the message. And so the agent gets this kind of contextualized comment. So it's less work for me to explain what I want to change because I can comment immediately on the code. So let's say I'm happy with this. Let's say I reviewed it and it all looks good. So what I'll do now is I'll submit my pull request. And we use GitHub. And that's actually all we support. I know some people use GitLab or maybe Bitbucket. We want to support those, but right now it's GitHub only for now. And okay, so created this pull request. And so now the pull request is coming from me. The commit is signed by me, AMP, and Superconductor. So it's like we kind of know who the provenance of the code is. And I can do the same, like let's say someone else is doing review in GitHub. They can also talk to Superconductor, and all they have to do is say /sc, let's clean this up, or whatever it is they want to say. If they comment on it, this comment goes into the same chat. So the agent can now work. So it's like you can talk to the agent here, you can talk to the agent here, or you can talk to the agent here. It all goes into the same conversation.
I love that. I mean, for an engineer, if you live in GitHub, which is probably the case, then it's just like no better UX, I guess, for review code, right? Like you can just like drop in your comments. Probably something you would do either like in GitHub issues or something like that, but you can just like get like the autonomous flavor of it into your PR reviews, right?
I think it's very important to, just like multiplayer, I think is a crucial feature. And that goes to like, GitHub, Slack. I'm going to show you Slack as well. I'm going to show you the mobile app, by the way. But right now, I want to show you. I can add another member to my workspace. So I added myself as like a fake email here. And how that looks like is. So I'm in a browser now that's logged in as that fake email. And I've been invited to join this workspace, right? So I'll accept the invite. I now have access to all the same projects. I'm going to be working in Stellar. I see all the tickets. I see the ticket we were working with, and I can go ahead and this looks good, but do a final review check, please. So now this user called BX is chatting with the same agent in the same conversation as Sergey was, right? So I was chatting with Amp here.
Got it.
But now my teammate BX is also chatting with the agent, and this has really been transformative for our team because, you know, one person can kick off a ticket and then go to sleep or whatever, or go home, and then another person can check up on that same ticket later and potentially talk to it and say like, hey, you know, the transcription doesn't work. And so it just like speeds everything up, especially if you have, you know, different time zones. If your team is spread across time zones, you can see how you can like keep the ball rolling 24/7 potentially.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I just want to show you real quick the how it looks on mobile. So we have a fully featured mobile app. Every single feature in Superconductor exists in our mobile app. So this is my iPhone here. I see all the tickets I've been working on. And so let's just go back to that same AMP ticket, right? Where I can see the screenshots. I can see my comments. I can see BX left a message here. And I can pull up an app preview from the phone, which is super cool. So it's actually like, as I'm on the go, I can, in fact, maybe the voice recording doesn't work on the phone, right? Maybe there's some problem where it's like on desktop it works, but on mobile it doesn't work.
iPhone permissions or something, yeah.
I think the tweet I replied to is like, there should be a TikTok for vibe coding or something like that.
Yeah, it was
and
like.
So this is exactly what it is. So I have
like all your PRs.
I can swipe between, or I can kind of go between these implementations. If I open a preview, I can literally go between, I can swipe between implementations. And where that can be cool is I'll show you a different ticket, which is let's improve landing page design, color, and I just, for the same Stellar project, I just said, hey, let's improve the landing page. And I launched 3 agents. Yeah, so this is like one landing page.
One of the designs.
This is another landing page.
Very interesting.
This is a third landing page. So here it came up with a little AI Chief of Staff for busy people. So that's kind of cool. And this is GPT 5.4.
I love it. I love it. So basically, I mean, just what we're showing us is that, I mean, one, like I think like this, I love the concept of having like TikTok, but instead of like scrolling to like useless posts, you're actually like scrolling through your PRs and just like approving what you think makes sense or not approving or what you think doesn't. And then I think like the design, like because the first example you showed us is just like the mic button and like voice mode for the app, which I mean, it can't really look too different other than maybe like a small like loading state or something. But here, I think like with design, it makes really obvious like that different models can produce different results, even though like the prompt, like the input is the same, right? So I love like the science of it, and you know, like how you can test different things and just like come to your own conclusions of what works better in your code base.
Yeah, and some people maybe at this point are wondering like, well, how expensive is this going to be if I'm launching so many agents? And that's a good question. I mean, it depends, right? So we support the Claude plan and the Codex plan. So you can go and connect your Claude codes or your Claude.ai subscription, your ChatGPT subscription. If those subscriptions are connected and you're the one that launches those agents, the agents will use your plan. Okay? For stuff like OpenCode and AMP, you can add an API key, same as Gemini, and there, you know, the API will get charged for use.
So you're not like token brokers, right? Like just like buy directly from like
so
the
it's
AI
bring your own
provider.
tokens. Yeah, bring your own tokens.
Got it.
Bring
And
your own
then
tokens or plan.
And then you get to use like the tokens from your own like Claude or OpenAI subscription. So definitely cheaper than using API tokens.
Yeah, and it's like you're the one launching Claude Code. You're just launching it on our cloud server, but we're not doing anything in between you and Claude Code. Like you're directly connected to Claude Code, basically.
Yeah, just like providing all the infrastructure for like the agents to run in parallel, like for the previews, for like the management of the tickets, right?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, so benchmarking, real quick, because I know we're at time, I think, but this feature allows you to basically, see your own SWE-bench score. So SWE-bench, people say like, oh, Opus 4.6 is 77% on SWE-bench. And then GPT 5.4 comes out, they say, well, we're 78% on SWE-bench, or whatever. But how does that translate to your code base, right? And to answer that question, you can take pull requests from your own repository, which you think are good pull requests. And you just like kind of enter a URL, create it. What that pull requests, kind of this original spec of it gets automatically inferred by an AI
just like reverse engineers it.
Yeah. And then it launches multiple models, like whatever models you want to benchmark. So we have all these models getting benchmarked. Each one of those produces basically their own version of the PR. And then 3 different AI judge models look at the spec, the ground truth implementation, and the models or the agents implementation, and then basically grade it with like a little rubric. And so what you get is a quality score from that, and then you see the average cost. Or maybe we can look at the time. So there's a lot here, but this cluster over here is the GPT 5.3 and 5.4 models. And so they're clearly the best. They're both the highest.
And quick.
So they have the highest quality, and they're among the fastest. And so that's why we switched our default model to GPT 5.4, because it just seems to be like both faster, and by the way, cheaper, and better than the Claude Code models right now. But I'm curious what it would be for you, and I'm curious what it'd be for your viewers if they connected their own pull requests.
We're going to know soon. By the way, like, what is the stack you're using? Are you using not Next.js, right?
So our website is Ruby on Rails.
Okay.
And so, Ruby on Rails. There's JavaScript. There's a little bit of React, but it's mostly Ruby on Rails and this thing called Hotwire, which is also how our mobile app is built. It's called Hotwire Native.
So for your stack, like the best model right now is GPT 5.3.
Yeah, 5.3, 5.4, yeah.
Very cool. I love that. I love the science of it. Sergey, I think we're at time, so thank you very, very much for joining me today and for showing us Superconductor. What if my audience wants to test it out? What do they need to do? Do they need to just access Superconductor?
Yeah, superconductor.com.
Okay.
Sign up. It's actually free right now. You bring your own API keys for your models, or you connect your existing Claude or ChatGPT subscription, and then you'll just have to connect your GitHub repository to create a project, and that's all you need.
So superconductor.com, create your account, like connect your AI models, connect your GitHub, and then you're set up to get started. I love it. I'll give it a try myself. Other than this, thank you very much for joining me again today.
Thank you, Deborah. Good talking with you.
Thank you very much, Sergey. So this is the end of another video in my channel. If you like this video, please hit the like button so I know you like this video, and drop your comments below. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please hit the subscribe button so you get to know about my next videos. So again, thank you for your attention, and see you next time.